Thank you so much everyone who came along and got involved with our mental health week.
Well, actually, we're so much more than the illness that we have, aren't we? If you had a cold, you don't define yourself by your cold. Or mental health and physical health are not that far apart. In fact, there's a kind of fine line as to where one ends and the other one begins. It's a continuum that we're all on, isn't it? So some days we feel better than others.
Well, I think there are lots of benefits to singing. There are psychological and physical and social benefits to singing. There are obvious benefits, so relaxed posture, slower breathing, which gives you a slower heart rate, slower blood pressure. All of that makes you feel better mentally, and also the social interaction as you're singing as well makes you feel as if you belong with other people. The group today, we did a lot of work on posture and positive body language, and we sang a few songs. We did some unison singing, we did some rounds, we had a pretend hacker, and we also did some partner songs where we were managing to sing several different songs at the same time, and it was a lovely sound by the end of the session.
So my session was for sports leaders, so whether that's club captains, inclusions officers, social secretaries, anyone on sports committees really, to learn about kind of the different welfare and mental health issues that are going on at university and how they can help students in their clubs who are facing those issues. So I think getting involved in sports clubs is one of the biggest and closest ways you can get involved at university. Your club mates might be some of your best friends, and actually if someone's having mental health difficulties, their club mates might be the first people to notice. We can use those integrated communities to actually get people to reach out to one another, support one another, and be able to get students to the support that they need.
The Wellbeing Cafe is a weekly meeting with a hot meal and a communal space for people to chill out. It provides a communal space for people to feel safe and get a hot meal every week. So either come along at 6 PM on a Monday to New Delhi, or give us a like on Facebook and send us a message.
So the event came about because I got in contact with the Debating Society to arrange a collaboration because I thought it would be useful to discuss the effects of alcohol and drugs on mental health in a wider context and increase the scope of our campaign. So the two arguments were that success is linked to substance abuse and success isn't linked to substance abuse. The argument that it is linked to substance abuse was linked to performance enhancement drugs and in relation to sport and in relation to study drugs, and the argument against is that you should have free will in relation to what you do, and that there's no harm in taking drugs if it's going to make you better.
We just run a lovely 45-minute gentle vinyasa flow yoga class. It's through the JUICE programme, which runs yoga classes for staff and PhD students on a Monday, and they're free, and it's part of the general wellbeing programme the university offers throughout the year. So there's loads of scientific studies that show that just slowing down the breath puts the body into a relaxed state, and that's really important for just general well-being, that when we're relaxed, our bodies are healthier.
What we're going to talk about today is a quiet room, which is yet to be kind of designed, but it is being set up, and it should be open next month. So quiet rooms in general are for people to use to kind of de-stress, kind of zone out and let themselves recuperate to come back into the world. And during stressful times in the union, obviously, such as lunch times especially, and you can't really move anywhere, people are sat everywhere, there's a lot of noise, and it just makes it easy for you to come in, sit down, go straight downstairs, give yourself half an hour, 45 minutes just to sit in silence, do whatever you want with your own time, and when it's fully furnished and ready, we're hoping that'll be a fantastic place for people to go to if they need some time for themselves. Today we've got Art Cafe going, which is a weekly social, runs every Tuesday from 5 till 7. It's just kind of a place where you can come along, chill, do your own work, do nothing, talk to nobody or talk to everyone, doodle, do some art, and just have some free tea and coffee on us as a committee, and just chill and relax after a long, stressful day.
It's nice because it's like a place for disabled people to talk about disabled stuff. There's a different mindset when you are disabled, and it's like nice to share that. We're on Facebook as UOS Disabled Students Committee, and that is probably the best way to find out about what we're doing, because we make events for everything we do.
So we just had the panel Masculinity and Mental Health. We talked a lot about how the way men express emotions is actually quite often very different to the way women express emotions, so it's often outwards rather than inwards, and how can we kind of support men in recognising that and help them kind of let those emotions out in a healthy way. I think we need to specifically talk about male mental health, because we know that suicide is the biggest killer of men under 40, and we need to be addressing that. We can't just let men keep bottling up these emotions and expressing them in unhealthy ways, we need to tackle the issue.
This is like cake and tea and a chat about self-care. It's really good, I think, to learn about sort of the smaller aspects of self-care, so they don't have to be like a big, obvious thing. It's just little things that you do day to day that make you feel better and like help you get through your day.
So the event was about effective self-care methods. So we ran it with Catherine, the welfare officer, and it was about things we can do to improve our own mental health that aren't like sort of marketised. Self-care is really important because we all know our own mental health best. Like sometimes it's a lot easier to know what we need than someone else telling us what's best for us.
The event was bringing together LGBT+ students, particularly ones that struggle with mental health, to kind of discuss what it's like to be LGBT+, particularly when currently the media is so focused on quite a lot of negative stories, particularly around trans equality, and discuss how we can care for ourselves but also each other, and how important community is for overcoming some of the problems that we face. The LGBT Lounge is a space for all LGBT+ students to just hang out.
We were doing colouring in and like origami, just for like mindfulness, just something to relax if you're like feeling down. So if you just take like half an hour to set yourself down and draw, I feel like it can really just take the pressure off of whatever you're feeling. So we're a listening service, we're non-judgmental and we're non-biased, and we have different services for people to contact us on, and it's just, if someone needs to unload whatever's on their chest, if they've got anything that they want to talk about, they can talk to us. We're on Facebook with Sheffield Nightline, and then we're open 8pm to 8pm every night during term time.
We've been up here in the gallery area designing the varsity t-shirt, next year's varsity event. So we've had a few designs come through, which has been brilliant. It's a really great chance for students who might not necessarily be involved in some of the sporting events in varsity to get involved by designing the t-shirt. I quite like we've got some of the raw logos put on them. Also the ones in keeping with Sheffield and the heritage of Sheffield, which is really nice. This year we're just going to continue and expand the Sport for All campaigns that we started last year, in particular adding an LGBT campaign in February, and we'd also love to see some of the logos of Sport for All on the t-shirt design this year.
We just had a really brilliant panel about liberation and mental health. So we had the chair of Disabled Students Committee, the chair of Women's Committee, the chair of LGBT+ Committee, and Maida, our Women's Officer, all talking about the different liberation groups they're part of and the marginalisations they face and how that intersects with mental health. So we were talking about how marginalised groups access services, for example, how black people or trans people or black trans people find their experience at the doctor or at counselling services or getting medication. We talked about discrimination and the effect that can have on mental health. We talked a lot about emotional labour and how women can really struggle with their mental health because of that, a bunch of stuff that they do.
My session today was teaching people the mindfulness of breathing practice, which is a very ancient meditation practice, about 2,500 years old. And the idea behind meditation is to develop a sense of awareness about our experience. So to become aware of what's happening within our body and within our mind. So it allows us to then make choices about things that are good for us.
Our event was around alcohol and mental health. It was a little workshop where we discussed stuff such as how to face challenges of being a non-drinker at uni.
So we want people to consider when a relationship with alcohol might become, say, bad, if it starts to impact your finances or your physical or mental health.
If you think that you're struggling with alcohol or you're concerned about a friend, you can phone Nightline anonymously, or you can go to the Student Advice Centre and they can signpost you to specific services in Sheffield. So you're not alone and there is support for you.
Our Mental Health Week finished with the Mocktail Lounge in Coffee Revs. This concluded 5 days of events, all centred around raising awareness of mental health and mental health issues. There was a variety of events across the week, involving students and staff from across the university.
It's so important it doesn't stop here. We need to keep talking about mental health with our housemates, with our lecturers and with our family so that we can open up and break the stigma.